So Nick McVicar here with two of the top goalkeepers in the entire CPL. Unfortunately, they happen to play for the same team. And we have Marco Carducci and Niko Giantsopoulos joining us today. How you doing today, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, happy to have you guys on. Always good to talk to players and get to know you a little bit better. How are you guys doing with quarantine? Niko, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's been good. I've been on my own for a majority of it. Like, I don't have my girlfriend's not here, my family's not here, but it's been good. I was saying to you off the air that once the weather got nicer, simple stuff like going for walks or just having a coffee on my patio, I could kill 2-3 hours of that. So I've started to enjoy some alone time, and I found different hobbies that I like. So yeah, some good has definitely come out of it.
Marco, what about you?
Yeah, it's been good too. As much as obviously it can be, it's definitely a big shift in the day-to-day lives, and obviously everyone's experiencing that now. But no complaints. I'm healthy, and my family is here, and I've been able to at least see them from a safe distance, of course. But like it's kind of what Niko said too. The nice weather, you're able to get out and keep active and all that. So it's different for sure, but it's going well.
That's good to hear, guys. I want to get into a bit of your stories before you got to Cavalry. So, Niko, I'm going to start with you. And you had quite the adventure in your soccer career, playing in the NC2A and subsequently going across the opposite pond of what usually we see when soccer happens. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how you ended up playing for Tasmania?
Yeah, so I had 4 years playing in the States at two small Division III schools. And at the end of that, I kind of knew that I wanted to, try to crack into the pro game, and it was going to be tough. So I reached out to some people, a lot of like USL clubs, stuff in America. And right when my season ended, an agent actually reached out to me and said he would, if I would like, he would look abroad for me. He didn't really specify what abroad meant, but I was just willing to, say yes to anything at this point. So I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And I was doing it on my own as well. And then I didn't hear from the guy from six weeks. And at this point I was, going on trials. I was on some preseasons in the USL and whatnot. And nothing really came of it. And then one day I just got a phone call from him. He's like, yep, team in Tasmania, Australia want to sign you like right away. No trial, no nothing. They saw your video and they like it. They're looking for a number one goalkeeper. Because the keeper that they did have got injured and the season started in like 2 weeks. So it's kind of like a last minute thing. And really I had maybe 24 hours, talked to friends, talked with mostly my parents. And then I just decided to go for it. So I may probably sign the contract on Wednesday. And I think Friday I flew down.
Jeez, wow. That's a short timeline.
Yeah, it was quick.
What was the experience like playing over there?
Yeah, it was awesome. First of all, like to live in Australia, my mom actually moved to Australia when she was around my age as well, and kind of worked odd jobs there just to travel and get that out of her system. So she always told me, and like growing up, she used to tell me about her time in Australia. Obviously, it wasn't Tasmania, but still Australia, the culture. So I kind of had an idea of what the culture of Australia was going to be like, and I knew it was going to be similar to Canada. So I was excited to experience the culture first and foremost and travel. And then the playing, it was great. I ended up being there for 3 years, 3 different clubs. But, I was playing week in, week out over like 75 games while I was there. So that experience was really, it's very tough to get, especially as a goalkeeper from a young age. So I thought, it was probably the best thing for my career at that time.
Absolutely. And how did you end up getting in contact with Cavalry and end up coming back over for year one of the CPL?
Yeah, so Sergio Camargo, who was playing with Tommy at the time of the PDL, this was 2018. So obviously he was there, and we would text here and there. I've known him since I was 7 years old. Like, we played on the same Unionville team growing up all the way up until 14, and then our paths kind of spread apart. So we were just talking, really nothing serious, just joking around, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, what's the situation like in Calgary? He's like, oh, I actually think that, there could be, like, I know Marco was there, but they don't really have any other keepers in mind that he knew. If you want, I could send your CV and video to Jordan and Tommy and kind of see what they think, because they were having a prospects camp in the end of 2018. So that would have been in September and October. My season ended like first week of September. And within that time frame, Sergio got back to me and said, yeah, they like the video. That's about it, but they would love to see you in person if you could make it down to Calgary. My season ended September 6th, and I think I was probably on a plane September 8th, flew to Toronto, was there for 2 days, and then I flew straight to Calgary, and I did the 2-month camp with the Cavalry prospects.
You and your 2-day turnarounds, eh?
Yeah, I don't like dwelling or thinking anything. I'm impulse. I go.
Nothing wrong with that. Hey, ended up having a pretty good season last year as a team, finishing first both in spring and fall. Like that's incredible for a first season as a team. So can't really complain about getting that opportunity.
No, not at all. And I mean, yeah, I loved Calgary. I'd never been to Calgary, but those 2 months, because obviously I had to make sure that it was the right fit for me as well. It wasn't just like they like me, I'll go if I'm unhappy. Like I fell in love with the city. I love the people, the community that I met. Obviously, the guys that were part of that Foothills team, I got along with really well. I knew it was a locker room I would enjoy being a part of. I think they liked me, but I also liked them and the staff with Tommy, Nashi, and Jordan. I thought I could learn something from every single one of them. So it was almost a no-brainer. As soon as I left that prospects camp, although they didn't offer me a contract then, I knew if they offered, it doesn't matter where else I was getting an offer from.
It makes a difference when you have that support system around with the coaching staff and stuff like that, for sure. So it's nice to hear that you found something like that in Calgary. Mm-hmm. Marco, we'll switch over to you for a little bit. You got the chance to go play in the Vancouver system. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was really early. Now we're talking like 2011 when I went out to Vancouver. So I was just going on 15. And it was like 6.5 years of my life I spent there in total. So yeah, I just worked my way through the academy, had fantastic experience there. And the club obviously to this day is a place that is like a second home, and Vancouver is like a second home for me. So yeah, I spent most of my youth out there, progressed through, signed with the first team in 2014. Of course, that's a dream come true for a young player who wants to become a pro. And then I spent 3 years with the first team. But looking back, it was just like kind of that growth of going in as a young kid and having the opportunity to be in a professional environment, and then going through a lot of ups and downs in between. But it was a special experience, and like I said, it was a big chunk of my life. So it's something that really helped me develop into the person and the goalkeeper that I am today.
You also had a chance to play in the USL for a couple of years, and then you ended up at Calgary Foothills FC, just like Niko apparently did too. How did you end up at Calgary?
Yeah, so what ended up happening was end of 2016 was when I left Vancouver, so at the end of that season. And then I went down and played in the USL with Rio Grande Valley Toros, who was the Houston Dynamo's affiliate team. And at that point, like Niko had mentioned, as a young goalkeeper, I needed a place to play. I wasn't getting the opportunity, and I really wasn't ready for it in Vancouver. So I went down to Texas for the season, and a different experience for sure, a lot different than Vancouver, of course. But around that time, I mean, Calgary's home, right? Born and raised, played all my youth soccer here, and I've known Tommy Wilden for the longest time. Although I never played with him as a youth player, we knew each other from when I was a kid. So what ended up happening was that was kind of the time where we're talking mid 2017, where you're starting to hear rumblings about the CPL, a professional league in Canada. Again, I'm talking like scrolling through Twitter and just like reading rumors, like very early days.
I remember those days.
Yeah, exactly. So I was in the same boat. I was in my room in Texas. I was scrolling through, and that season down there for me was a big learning experience. I had some good moments, but on the whole, I was when I heard that there was something potentially happening back home in Canada, and obviously right here in Calgary, it caught my attention very quickly. So I reached out to Tommy, and again, we had kept a relationship over those years that I was in Vancouver, and up to that point, whenever I'd come home, he let me use the training facility, and So we did keep in touch and had a good relationship throughout that whole time. And more or less, I said, what's going on with this? His name got thrown out a little bit, but again, nothing official. He told me as much as he could at the time. And then when that season came to an end, I went back home. I didn't re-sign in Texas, and I was at a point where there was an opportunity to maybe pursue some other options in the USL. But nothing really stood out to me. And then at that time, Tommy essentially sold me on the vision, which was the 2018 season with the Foothills PDL, plus, before and after with the Cavalry prospects. And, we had a tour in England and all this stuff. So it was a whole year planned, which was a phenomenal year, all in preparation for 2019. So, it really started with like rumors on Twitter and then reaching out to Tommy, and he sold me on the vision. And for me at that point in my life and my career, it was like a no-brainer to go and come back home and take that opportunity.
It's pretty incredible that it was rumors on Twitter that ended up getting you back home playing professional soccer.
I was the biggest optimist for the CPL from day one, because as soon as I heard it was a possibility, I was just like, I started talking with my parents about it. And again, we're talking searching hashtags and stuff, and I was like, hey, this could be something. And, I was just like, please be something, because it was just exciting, right?
Yeah. It's definitely long overdue having a league in Canada. The number of youth players that we have is top 10 in the world in organized soccer. It was bound to happen, and I think all of us played different levels, obviously, but we all knew it was coming. So it's so great to have stories like this of Canadians being able to play at home, and that's why we wanted to pick both of you guys to see your two different stories and how they came together. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions for both of you now, so you can answer in any order you want. We'll do some of them are rapid fire, some of them not so much. So just bear with me, okay? For the first one, what was year one like at Cavalry for both of you?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I'll go first, Ducci, but I mean, it was everything I expected and then some, because it was such an unknown. I wouldn't have wanted to go any other way besides, finishing it off. But again, there's no regrets. I don't think anyone on our team has any regrets the way this season went. I think we left it all out on the field the whole year, and it was an awesome life experience, and definitely something I'll be talking about for the rest of my life, no doubt.
I mean, yeah, it's hard. I couldn't agree more with what Niko said. I think like when you look back, even now, it's still quite fresh. That you look back, like it was a big moment in history for soccer in this country, right? And you look back at all the things we did, and like Niko said, obviously, if we could have capped it off with the championship at the end, then it's a fairy tale story. But there's just so many amazing moments, and above all else, I think every guy on that team would agree that it was one of the, if not the best team environments I've ever been in, and we just enjoyed it the whole way through.
Yeah, so many of the stories that I'm going to be telling will literally stuff that didn't happen on the soccer field, whether it was on the hotel or in the airports or playing cards with the boys. Something it's so much more than just on the field, really.
And that's what makes such a good team, is when you guys bond off the field as well as on the field, and that's the key. I guess we'll continue with the team aspect. How did the team really sustain that high level all season, despite there being that split spring-fall sort of thing that the CPL has going on?
I'll go with this one first. I think for us, it was never even like a thought. There was no like moment where we were like, we can let our foot off the gas. And I think that comes from just the culture that we established. A lot of people talked about how we had that group of guys who played in the PDL the year before. And of course that helped. But what was really special was, guys like Niko and the several other players who came into the team environment at different stages, whether that was late 2018 or in preseason for the first for CPL. Everyone bought in, and we were just in that mindset and that mentality of like being winners and being hungry. And I think that comes from the coaching staff, that comes from Tommy and Martin and Jordan, who we established it every day, and that's just how we train. That's how we played. That's how we did everything, and it reflected.
Yeah, that's just the standard that's been set. And I think, like Marco said, the guys who haven't been ingrained, like with Tommy, who didn't come from the foothills, like the guys outside that Tommy brought in, like it's definitely, he selected them for a reason. I think a lot of the guys, a lot of us do have like a chip on our shoulder and have a lot to prove because we might not have had the most successful like youth career and stuff like that. So we're always hungry, and right away from prospects camp that I saw is like the culture that is set with the guys, and this is something you want to be a part of, especially when it works. It's different if there's a culture but you keep losing, but if you have a culture and you keep winning, and that Foothills team have won before it was a pro team, so you'd be stupid not to buy into that culture and just give it just dive in head first. And that's what everyone on the team did last year.
Nice. All right, a little bit of a lighter question here. Who's better at video games?
Well, my skills have been portrayed very poorly as of late. I would still back myself to beat Ducci just because Ducci's much more mature than me, even though he is younger. Ducci's probably too busy worrying about his stocks and mortgage payments on his house, so I have more time for video games.
I take that as a huge compliment, Nico. So thank you. Yeah, maybe you would. I'd fancy myself in a few games though. I haven't played for a while. That is true, but I think I could hold my own. But I'd probably still give it to Nico though too. He's probably right.
All right. Ducci would be good at one of those like old school pinball machines.
100%. Old soul.
What's your go-to game then, boys?
I mean, it's only been FIFA just because I've been forced to play it by the CPL. But go-to game? I mean,
Yeah.
if Grand Theft Auto, whenever the Grand Theft Autos come out, I'm crushing that story mode. Like I'm doing it full through and through a couple times, taking different scenarios. So that would be my go-to game of all time, even though there's not one right now.
Yeah, you know what? I played FIFA like all the way through. Maybe the last few years, and I haven't played nearly as much. But I'm with you there. Not Grand Theft Auto exactly, but I always loved me like the story mode games. Like I don't know if either of you guys know The Last of Us. Like that game was like that was ridiculous. Like, and my brother's a bit more of a gamer, so I have an older brother, and he's much more of a gamer than I am. Yeah. I think it was a year that I came home for the winter. He's like, just play this, just play it. Like I'm forcing you to do one thing, play this game. I was like, wow, that was good. So yeah, that's more my style.
That's a good one. I'm usually a Assassin's Creed guy for the story.
Yeah, I'm with you on that genre, that style for sure.
The story mode games are always better, I feel. I can't keep up with these 12-year-old like kids from like Japan who are just like pro gamers. It's impossible to beat them.
On Fortnite and
yeah, like I've done my Fortnite phase. I can't do it. It's too frustrating.
I can deal with the sports ones. It's when you get into like Fortnite and COD. My buddies will play. I'll play and lose every round.
Yeah, it stops being fun when you like turn the corner and you're like, oh, what just happened? You have no idea.
Oh look, I'm dead again.
Yeah, you don't even see them. You literally don't even see them anymore. In Fortnite, you look at them. I see the guy, and then boom, he has like a 3-story house with the hot tub in the back that he's built in 2 seconds, and I can't even find him.
It's true. It's crazy. All right, let's get back to a little bit more soccer stuff. Sorry to pull away. I knew that one would be a fun answer, though. So, who's at the practice field first?
The facility or the field? Because there's 2 different answers.
Let's go with both.
Ducci's the first at the facility.
Correct.
I'm the first on the field.
Correct.
But because Ducci's doing more pre-ab in the facility, in the gym.
Fair enough.
I always get given a hard time because it takes me – I am slow. I'm slow in general. But I'll, like, do the work. And Niko does too, to be fair. But then I have to go, like, back in the locker room, get my boots on. Then it's taping my fingers and wrist. Like, it's another, 10 minutes that I usually only give myself – I give myself, 2 minutes for, a 5 to 10 minute process. And it's been, a year of that, so I should probably work on that. But, yeah, Niko's on the pitch first, but – maybe I'm at the training ground first.
Yeah. Who leaves first?
Who leaves?
Yeah, who leaves first?
To be fair, I know this is the cliche. I think we're probably pretty much even. Like,
For sure, because we have lunch at the facility afterwards, and
Yeah.
I mean, we're both social guys. Like, we'll both be chatting with the boys,
yeah.
having whatever conversation we get stuck into. We usually have a coffee after and all that. So I would like to say we leave. We're one of the last ones in the group
Yeah.
to leave.
Nothing
That's
wrong with
true.
that.
And the afternoon coffee is like, it's not a maybe. It's like, for me, it's a must. So like, I'll always enjoy my coffee, and then really the only time I feel like I'm on a rush to get out is like if I literally have to be somewhere. Right? Like, oh, like I have to get back home quickly for this. But yeah, Nico's right. We'll just like sit and chill and chat.
Nothing wrong with that. That's what camaraderie is for.
Nice. I mean, again, yeah, that's the culture we have. We're just fun being with the guys. And I'm telling you now, because of the last couple months that we've experienced, I might be sitting there having chats for like 4 hours after.
And I might miss dinner. I might have dinner at the facility.
Hey, as long as the food's good, doesn't matter where you eat, right?
Food is
That's
good.
true. That's true.
All right. How have you? Or let me rephrase this question. How has the opposite keeper helped you to become better? So, Niko, how has Marco helped you to become better? And Marco, how has Niko helped you to become better?
Yeah. So for me, Ducci is one of the best goalkeepers that I've trained with or seen in live with his feet. That's definitely something I watch every day, little stuff. So again, it might not be a conversation that we're having, hey, what do you do here and stuff like that. It's more just watching. And if you're self-aware enough, you kind of might know what you want to improve on. If you could tell another keeper's stronger at that suit, all you got to do is watch and kind of take little things here and there. And I mean, we're together hours each day. So you can always pick little things. But I would say that's the biggest thing that I've picked up from Ducci just this past year.
For me, I think to what Niko said, like, it's true. He's one of the best goalkeepers I've worked with. And what we have, I think, to give you kind of the general picture is like, again, we spend so much time together. We train together every day. It would be hard to narrow it down to one thing. It's more kind of that, like, we've struck a very good balance between, of course, we're competitors. Of course, we're playing for the same position, and we both know that. But we're teammates and we're friends. And that's, created such a good relationship that we have where we can push each other and we know we're pushing each other. But at the same time, it's never feeling like you're like hating the guy you're working with because you're just worried about, oh, he just wants this, or I'm trying to get a spot, or vice versa. So I think in general, because we've built that great balance between, that friendly competitiveness, if you will, it's just been everything, right? And we keep each other on our toes. And like Niko said, you just watching each other. I pick different things off Niko all the time. We're slightly different styles for sure. I think Niko has one of the best shot stoppers I've seen up front, like in terms of just reaction speed and ability to just save the ball. And you see the things that work for him. But above all else, it's just we go in every day in training and we push each other to be better. And then I think that reflects on, how we end up performing in match situations. So it doesn't happen all the time, right? Like, I think Niko would agree with that. You don't always find or get to work with another goalkeeper that you find that great balance with. And I think that's what's brought, the best out of both of us.
It forces us to be consistent too. Because, I mean, if I get a string of games or whatever, I know I can't mess up. Like, I have to be on my A game, stuff like that. And same thing with Ducci. And then besides the games at training, like, you want to be as best as you can in training. And if you have a goalie that's not really competing against you, then you could get away sometimes with, taking a day off or being slack. But I never have felt that we ever have that room to kind of go lazy, which is great because it builds good habits.
Yeah, 100%. Just to like reiterate that point, it's true, because if I look back on last year, as a team, we had a lot of success. Individually, I know it was a good season. It happens because of that aspect that we have, right? Like, I know that if I'm not at the top of my game, then Niko's more than ready and able to step in. And when he did step in, he did phenomenally in the games he played. And that just, again, we keep each other on our toes. And when you have that, you bring the best out of each other. And like I said, I think it reflected for both of us.
Absolutely. And I mean, it showed on the stat sheet too. You guys had incredible seasons, both of you, when you were in. One last question, and then I'll let you go. What was your favorite memory?
Don't shoo us away too quick. I've been on my own. Conversation's good.
Hey, if you want to stay, we're more than welcome to. But
And by the way, Nico's got a little bit of yard work he's working on over there. So the longer you keep him here,
This
it's
is
a little
great.
bit of an excuse.
The boys right now are just working on the field.
When
right
the
now.
call ends, you can just keep the phone in your hand and just keep talking.
you know what? Hey, I won't say this last question then, but I want to know this one for sure. What was your favorite memory of the first year of the CPL?
Carducci, if you got one.
Yeah, I'll go. Anytime I get that question, it's really hard to because every time I think about it again, 10 things come up into my head.
Give me all 10. I don't care.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, we talk about winning the spring, winning the fall. For me, one thing that was really incredible was a run in the Canadian Championship. Beating the Whitecaps. Again, that obviously has some special meaning and a little bit extra for me. So that was a really incredible moment. But again, there's just so many throughout the year, and I think when you look back, it's just kind of what we did together. But yeah, if I had to give you one, I'd probably say our run in the Canadian Championship and beating the Whitecaps at BC Place. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game. I watched that one. That was incredible.
Yeah. And it was just cool too because to be completely honest with you, it's crazy. I look back at the Whitecaps, their roster even last year, and their coaching staff is almost completely changed.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I'm talking 2016 was the last year I was there, so that was 2017 to 20, 3 seasons later.
Yeah.
So there was not hey, there were a few guys that obviously I still had known and guys who were there when I was there, but it was also more just again, it's become a second home for me, and it was kind of cool because there were a lot of people in the crowd, friends and people that I consider family from there that got to enjoy it, and we had a posse of Cavalry fans come out, and my girlfriend was there, a bunch of the Cavalry staff, and some other friends and family were there, and it was just, I gotta watch it again, actually. I'll lift my spirits. So anyway, Niko, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, see, I always have 2 answers to this because I think the best moment for the team and everything was beating the Whitecaps as well. It was such a monumental moment for Cavalry, but for that tournament stuff. It's the first time that a non-MLS side beat an MLS side, so that was history in the making, which is always cool to do. More on a sentimental best part of the feeling would definitely be my first home game. It was actually my second game. We played Pacific in the Canadian Championship, or the first round. And my parents actually were able to come to that game. And that was the first time they ever saw a professional match and stuff like that. So it was just kind of cool. It was the first time ever I could play. And I looked out and I saw my mom and dad and the crowd and stuff like that. And it was I know it sounds so cliche, but I remember running out, seeing them. I almost teared up just from seeing them. It was so cool and so long, playing abroad, because I was in the States for 4 years and then 3 years in Australia. So to see them there and see me, they saw the crowd, they saw the stadium, they finally understood what I've been doing for 7 years. They got a taste of it and stuff like that. So it was cool. That was definitely something that I would say was my best personal moment, if I could be selfish.
There's nothing wrong with that kind of moment. That's what we all grew up living to do. We wanted to play in front of our parents and show them that everything that they put in was worth it. And you got that opportunity, man, and that's incredible.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Literally, it was almost a way of saying thank you, for them to see me play. It was cool. I don't know.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask one more question because I actually do have one now, and this is a little bit more personal. But Marco, you've lived in Calgary your whole life, other than when you were in Vancouver. Niko, you're just there. Are there any hot spots in Calgary if someone was going to be there for a weekend that they had to hit?
Niko, I want to hear your recommendations. So you'll know the spots.
Yeah. I mean, depends what demographic we're talking to. If some of my boys are coming down from Toronto and they're going to have a weekend, I live right downtown, so I'd take them to a couple bars. But when my parents come down, I love taking them to East Village. There's like a nice path there along the river. East Village is a nice, like trendy, like bars and stuff like that, nice restaurants and stuff like that. That I would take them there. Sorry. Carducci, I'll let you talk about Inglewood because I know you're all about that.
Oh man, yeah.
Another place to take them to. I mean, it's not Calgary, but obviously Banff. I mean, from Toronto, we don't have mountains,
No, we don't.
I mean, the biggest mountain I've seen is Blue Mountain, where you go
Yep.
skiing. And it's like a
Yep.
2-minute hill. So taking them up to the mountains, stuff like that. Those would be the different demographics of places I would take. I'm not taking my parents to the bars
No.
or to National at 2 a.m.
Nice. No, those are good. Those are good. I think Niko already led on to. There's like a lot of really great areas, and it depends kind of what you're looking for. But one of my personal favorites is Inglewood, which is just like off the shoulder of downtown, and it's like the Strip, and that whole neighborhood is like original Calgary, which is really cool. Kind of when you go around, you see some of the old architecture, and the street names are like the original names as well as like the modern ones. But like you walk down there, it's like you take your pick if you're a coffee shop or you want these like cool little trendy shops, restaurants, all sorts. Kensington's a really good one too, kind of similar. Everything's kind of like right like downtown area off the water. So there's tons, but I think there's a lot of gems out there you got to experience too in those areas. But Niko made a good point. I mean, the reason I looked out over here is because I can see the mountains from my place, and like every now, I mean, I'm born and raised in Calgary, like you said, and sometimes you're like driving and you look and you're like, we're really close. Like you're closer than you think, and you almost like don't take advantage of it enough. But that's for sure. Got it. If you come out all this way, like 45 minutes in the car, you're basically in the mountains already. So can't miss that.
It's funny because 2 places I lived, Australia, when I was talking to Australians, like literally you drive on the highway and the ocean is right there the whole time. And I'm like, man, that's so sick. And they're like, yeah, it's just there. It's the same thing with like mountains. Like when we drive to our facility, you can see the mountains there, and I always like point it out. And Mason, Zats, all these guys are like, yeah, like cool. But I'm just like looking in the back seat here, admiring the mountains. But no, it's unreal. Calgary's a great spot.
Well, Marco, you're lucky you went from Calgary to Vancouver where there's mountains, and then you went back to Calgary where there's more mountains.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I'm not a snowboarder or skier, so I'm not like, the mountains don't attract me that way. But it's just, it's beautiful. And I mean, obviously Vancouver is a beautiful city, and the landscape around there is probably hard to beat the world over, but Calgary's home, and I love it here too. And there's a whole lot to do.
Sounds great, guys. Well, thank you for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Unfortunately, my 2 co-hosts couldn't be here with me today to meet you guys, but I'm sure we'll have you on sometime soon. Best of luck in the 2020 CPL season when it does get up and running, because we are all very confident that it will end up happening at some point. And other than that, thank you for joining, guys.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having us.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Nick.
No problem.